The important part of permaculture gardening is making sure we have enough fertilizer for next year, since we're not going to be buying conventional fertilizers. So for us, composting is really important. If you look at the most successful permaculture gardeners, most of them utilize chickens to help out their gardens. Chickens are nature's dumpster. They are also nature's dirt factory and pest control. If you don't have chickens already, I'd tell you to seriously consider getting some chickens. Besides getting all the awesome eggs they're going to give you, they don't take a lot of care, and these animals can give you some of the best fertilizer that you can toss into your garden. Welcome to the chicken compost factory. I don't understand why more people aren't doing this. This is probably the fastest and laziest way to make compost. I started out with this smaller bin in the corner to run, but I eventually expanded to the whole length of the run because that was going so good and I needed more room. Let's take a look and see what the chickens have done in the past 2 weeks. So basically anything I'd normally throw in the compost, I was putting inside this wooden frame right here. And I was also throwing snacks, stuff I grow from in the garden there also, so they can pick through here and eat it. And when the chickens come in here, they scratch around to try to find the food. And when they do that, they're mixing all this matter together. So they're constantly turning this pile. And after a while, you'll notice, if you dig down here, all this stuff on the bottom, look at that. Look at that. Oh, don't bite me. Look at that good finished compost right there. So a lot of this is just leaves, grass clipping, wood chips, hay, straw, normal stuff you toss right in the compost. And the chickens come through, and after I pile it up, they'll kick it around. They will add more nitrogen to it when they defecate, and they keep the pile turned. Instead of me coming out here when it's 20 degrees in the winter, turning a big compost pile and adding different ingredients to try to keep it at the right temperature, I throw this stuff in here and the chickens do all the work for me. And as time progresses, this pile is going to get higher and higher, and underneath it is going to be that beautiful finished compost that we can run through a sifter and feed to our garden plants. The chicken's already going at it. They know there's grass clippings in here, and chickens love grass clippings. So these chickens are going to dig through this pile, pick out and eat a lot of those grass clippings, and mix this thing up for me. Here's another little trick too. You take some scratch grains, some mealworms, all the good stuff, and toss it in that pile. The chickens will really start digging through there. You can throw all kinds of different stuff in here. I know there's some people that make deals with restaurants where they pick up food scraps. Doesn't matter if it's, vegetables, fruits, meats, desserts like cakes, everything. It all goes in with the chickens. And I know some people are worried because some foods can harm chickens. They're pretty smart. They know what not to eat. It's like they'll pick it up and taste it a little bit, and if they don't like it, they don't eat it. Hay, wood chips, pretty much anything you put in the compost pile, you put it in with the chickens. You notice if you do this too, you're going to cut back on your chicken food costs. They'll pick through here and they'll stuff themselves, and they're not going to eat as much grain. So it's going to save you money. And I always make sure to go through the garden and make sure the chickens get some really delicious garden scraps to eat as well. Getting down to the wire in here, I'm down to basically brassicas peas and some of these purple carrots. I really like these carrots. These carrots were delicious. Gonna take some carrots out for the chickens though. Got a little guy right there. I'm gonna eat these, but the chickens are gonna eat the tops. And these guys here, something I am definitely growing next year. Did not eat any of these. These are giant crimson radishes that I just let grow. I had no idea radishes would get this big. Look at the size of this thing down here. That is a monster radish. Oh. Look at that. That is like a 3-foot long radish plant right there. It just so happens to be one of the chickens' favorites. And I got a little romaine gone to seed, some kale. I'm gonna grab some of that for the chickens as well. These plants ain't gonna do anything for the rest of the year, so I don't feel bad taking them out. Chickens love the kale too. So do the bugs. By composting with my chickens, I'm not only saving money on chicken food, I'm also getting a ton of awesome fertilizer. All this fertilizer from doing this all winter is going to be ready by the springtime to feed to my plants. And it is one of the best composts you can make. And 2 more things we notice. This time of year, the chickens go through a heavy molt because of the colder weather coming in. My chickens did not have a long molt. And usually when they're molting, they don't lay eggs. We also noticed that the egg production has gone way up. Every chicken is laying at least 1 egg a day. We've had a couple days where we go in there, we got 8 chickens, and we'll have like 10 eggs. I really can't find any negatives to doing this. It doesn't stink. Sometimes compost, if you don't mix it right, stinks. The chicken compost doesn't stink. It just smells like the chicken coop always does. It's also really good entertainment for the chickens because they're just scratching and digging all day. It kind of gives them something to do. And as you can see here, they've already scratched through this whole pile and spread it out. So sometimes I like to come in here with a rake and just reform the pile. Just bring everything back together, mixing it up myself a little bit by doing so, and let the chickens start over. And that step's not exactly necessary. You don't have to do it. The chickens will still do all the work. This will help speed it up a little bit. Seeing as it is fall now, I'm not too concerned about speeding it up. I would like to get a decent layer of compost going under here before winter sets in, because another good thing about the chicken composting is you don't have to store your compost. Like if you're making compost in a pile in the winter, you're worried about keeping it warm to keep those microbes alive. The chickens are going to come in here, they're going to dig through this, and chickens' body heat's like 125 degrees. They're going to be warming up all this matter too. So it's going to keep a lot of that life alive inside the compost. Unlike our other compost piles we're doing, you don't need a bunch of matter at once to pile it in to get the thing hot. Here, you can take those little bit of scraps you got and just toss them in here. If you brought those little scraps out to your compost pile, they just go on the surface and you'd be doing what's called cold composting, which takes a very long time. You throw it in here, the chickens are going to pick through it, eat what they want, and they're going to get to work. It's really cool to come out here and just watch the chickens work. It's like they were made to do this. Very amazing and beneficial creatures. So if you got chickens, start giving this a try. If not, next year when it gets a little warmer out, get yourself some chickens and start doing this because it's going to help you and your garden out. Thanks for watching.